Hey folks, it's Norm here from Southern China. I'm originally from Canada, but I've been living in China for about 11 years now, and I serve as the general manager here at a company called Dongguan Shenghui. We just call it DGSH for short. And this is the product that we build. It's the spring-free trampoline. And so you can see all of the nets, the mats, it's all industrial sewing. We do all of that, as well as down here on the frames, the cutting, punching, welding, bending, even the powder coating, all of that is done in-house as well. We've got 220 employees, and our production area is 270,000 square feet, so it's a large site. And we're just really humbled and excited to show you what we've been doing in Lean, and I'll take you over and show you our Lean wall to get started. We owe a lot of our success in Lean to a friend of mine, Paul Crowley, who was visiting our factory one time, and he said, Norm, you really have to take a look at Paul Akers' book. And so as soon as he left, I went and I downloaded it, and wouldn't you believe there's actually a copy here in Chinese. And so we got that, I read that, and it was just the perfect framework for what we were looking for. And so when I shared that with our owners in Canada, I said, this is something I think could really transform our company. They were very supportive, really encouraged. Their advice to me was just, if you're going to do it, make sure you do it really, really well. And you know, there's so much good stuff in here, and we'll share a little bit about what we do right out of the book. But I think the most powerful thing for us was just 4 words: fix what bugs you. This was something that resonated with every single one of our employees, whether they were brand new to the company or whether they'd been here for 10 years. Everybody could fix something that bugged them. And not only that, it showed the respect for our staff, because rather than someone in the office saying, hey, this is what you should do, we're saying, you guys go out, tell us, what can we do to make it better? It also kind of creates a community of humility, because it's no longer us who says what's best and what's not best for our operators. Now the operators they are the experts, and they're giving us new ideas all the time. And third, it actually incorporates improvements right with the process. And so rather than having a set time where we go and make improvements, the operators are right on the shop floor. As they're working, they're able to say, hey, something's not right, something's bothering me, I want to stop and fix it right there. And so we integrate improvement with the process. And so those are 3 things that have really helped us. But yeah, fix what bugs you. That's the key to our factory. So I'm going to share a little bit of our kata now. So we follow a very orthodox approach to 2-second lean, right out of Paul's book, to be honest. We focus a lot on the 8 wastes and 3S every single day. And we've actually created 4 main activities that drive our entire continuous improvement culture. And the way we sustain that is through morning meetings, daily 3S and continuous improvement time. We also do daily Gemba walks, and then before and after videos. And I just want to explain some of those just in detail. Our daily morning meetings, because our factory is so large, we actually have 3 different morning meetings that happen every single day. 1 in fabrication, 1 in sewing, and 1 of the office. And we have shared leadership, so each person takes a turn leading. And those are really well choreographed before we start, so that there's no time wasted. The second thing we do is every single day there's a daily 3S time and continuous improvement time. And that's where operators not only clean up their area, sort, sweep, and standardize, but they're also looking for opportunities to improve. Now, if they find an opportunity to improve at some other time during the day, that's totally fine, and we encourage that. And you can see here, this is actually our map, and you can see the different areas. Each person is responsible for their own work area, but then we have larger group areas, sort of these regions, and you can see the person who takes ownership of those. And that's a really good way of just instilling a bit of pride and ownership for the workers in that. We also do daily Gemba walks, and we do 2 different versions of them. So we have one where one department will visit another department, and so it's operators mainly looking for opportunities to improve, and they'll go around, and we actually record all of them on a WeChat group. And then we have a cross-functional team that also does a daily Gemba walk to a different area in the business, so that every single day we're looking for opportunities to improve, and we share those with the entire team so that we can capture everything possible to make improvements. There's one last thing I wanted to show you at the Lean board here before we head over to production. And this is our skills matrix, and we owe a lot of thanks to the Lean community for sharing these ideas with us. This has been a real game changer for us, because every worker now has a visual of exactly how they're performing relative to different tasks within the business. And as we build this up, we start becoming more and more flexible. We have more agility in terms of adjusting our different production requirements, and our staff can quickly see, hey, I'm lacking in some areas and I want to build up. So let me take you over to our net sewing area, and I'll show you some of our improvements. Okay, I'm over in our net sewing production area, and behind me I've got 35 incredible workers who are really passionate about getting 3S down to a science. And if you look really carefully, you'll notice the product that we build is very big. And so we can't help but have some of it on the ground. And if that happens, we want to make sure that everything around the workspace is really, really clean, really dialed in. Because otherwise, we get a dirty product. It's going to be sloppy for our customers, and it's often going to result in a defect and having to rework it. And so we focus a lot on just making sure everything is exactly where it should be. Everything is as tidy and organized as possible. And even underneath, you can see here, we haven't always been very good at this. And in the past, we would be struggling all the time to find the parts that we need. Now everything is exactly where we need it. And I want to highlight this one here because this is actually an example of a large improvement that we've been thinking about for a long time. We used to have 15 different workers who we'd have trampolines all lined up here, and they would all be lifting up the nets to do it, to install them. And the reason we do that is because every single net comes down. Because of the size of it, the workers can't always tell if it's perfectly sewn or if there's a defect on it. And so we actually do a full installation to make sure everything is just perfect before we send that through to final production and to packaging. But we would have all this struggle because the workers would be lifting up this net, taking it down, lifting up this net, taking it down. By the end of the day, they'd be exhausted. And so we started thinking, how can we make their job as easy as possible? And it was actually our engineers that came up with this one, but it was in combination with our workers who were saying, this really bothers us, lifting it up and down every day. And so we've done it so that now there's no struggle. We actually encourage the workers just to move at a very casual, relaxed pace. And in fact, if we need more speed coming on here, we can actually just add workers to this cell. A couple neat things that they do here, just that I've just added in the last week or so, is sometimes we would struggle to find these, and we would never know where they were put them. They'd stick them on there, the net would come on top of it, and next thing you know, we'd actually have a defect. They came up with a simple little magnet solution at the bottom. It's marked with a red, marked on top, and all the way around, we do the same thing. That's an example of a small improvement on top of a big improvement. And this is one of the ways that we've been really successful because we encourage our staff, even if it doesn't save us money, even if it doesn't even save us time, if it makes your job easier, we know that in the future, that's going to really compound and we're going to have some great success. I want to introduce you to one of our lean superstars. This is Huang Yanhua, and she has been a sewer for over 30 years. And the neat thing about this is that she doesn't have an engineering background, but when we started doing lean, it started tapping into the genius and the creativity that she had. And so I want to highlight what she's done because, believe it or not, since we started lean, every single week she gives us a new idea. In fact, no one has been as prolific as she has. And so I thought it'd be really fun just to hear what she had to say about lean manufacturing here at DGSH.
你好，12年了。可以的，就比如是说我们这个皮套刚刚开始挺经营之前的时候，它是需要这个要锁一次性锁12个一把，是用胶圈绑起来。改向之后，我们就不需要这个动作，然后呢就直接包过来，然后我们这样车的时候就减少动作浪费。这个让我们做起事来做起来比较舒服顺畅，然后找东西不管做什么就是很容易找到，你不要说需要的到处去翻啊，说找这样子的。会很开心，也很好，我会感到很骄傲，也很自豪。谢谢。
One of the questions that we often get asked is how is lean impacting our overall efficiency as a factory? And before we started lean, we would have about 20 hours. If you were to stack every process end to end to end, 20 hours from start to finish to build a trampoline. Now, after lean, and about 4 years now that we've been doing it, we're at 9.1 hours. And so we've come a long way. And to be honest, we see so much waste and so much opportunity to take that number lower. Now, one thing that's really critical is that even as we have decreased the amount of hours to do that and increased our efficiency, we have not let anyone go because of lean. Now, that doesn't mean that we haven't reduced our workforce. In fact, as people leave, we often just don't have to rehire them. But no one will leave because of lean. Another thing that we really have focused on is investing back into our workers. We want them to get the benefit of all these improvements. And one simple way that we do that is that we put rest areas in every single one of our departments. And so you can see right on the Gemba here, workers can take a break here. They've got lockers. It's a bit of an oasis in the middle of their working area, so that it's just a little bit more comfortable for them. And this is just one small way that we give back. Other ways that we do that is through improved wages, of course. As their performance gets better, they're able to produce more, and that benefits them on a bottom line level. But also just in some of the benefits that we provide. And I'll give you one example. At our factory, every single worker gets 3 meals a day from our canteen. And it's been so successful, actually, that we often will have workers who will get their breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, and then for their families, they'll actually use our takeout service, where they pay just a small fee to take out food so they can take that home to their staff. So that's just one more way that we try to bless our workers and give them, sort of give back for the benefits that we're getting. I wanted to show you one last improvement here before we leave this area. You'll see up on the wall up there, there's a green light. And that green light is actually linked to our washroom because the washroom's in another building. And so if the light is green, that means that there's capacity, there's extra empty seats in the washroom. If it's red, it means it's full. So no one wastes time getting up and walking all the way to the bathroom in case it's full. And that's where I'm going to take you next. So let's head that way. Next, I'm going to take us over to the packaging building. And one of the things that I want to highlight just as we go through here is that we've really had to wrestle with the tension of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. In this case, which comes first, the improvements or actually investing in better facilities? And we really struggled at the beginning because it was hard to convince workers that you had to polish the floors when they were really grubby, or you had to take a lot of pride when you're cleaning the washrooms when they're pretty sloppy. And so one of the things that we've worked really hard on doing is saying, okay, let's invest a little bit more up front so that our workers can take pride in what we give them, and they can really keep that at a high level. And so I want to take you into our washrooms. There's the green light again. You can see it's still vacant, or there's some vacancies. I just want to take you in quickly just to show you what we've done here. So this factory, this washroom here, we have about 80 people who share this washroom, and you can see the quality. We've just come back after the lunch break. It's really nice and clean. Everything looks good. And I'm gonna take a risk here, and we'll go in and we'll just take a look and see if some of the washrooms are okay. But yeah, you can see this isn't necessarily because we've just had the cleaning staff in here. This is respect for each other. And as our workers, as we've invested in the staff, we've found that they've spent more and more of their own effort to hold that high level. And so it's a really good example of if you want to have a premium factory, and if you really want to invest in that, you sometimes got to put some effort up front. And that's what we've done. That's been really successful. Next thing I want to do is I want to take us down to our fabrication area, and we'll take a look at how we actually build the steel for our frames. We're down in our fabrication floor right now, and I just wanted to show you our board here. It's much like you saw upstairs. This is 3S board, and basically every person is in charge of a certain area. And this way, we've actually got the names on there. If people shift around, we can adjust it. But this is a really useful tool for us because it gives accountability, but also pride and ownership. And you can see, same thing, we've got the skills matrix that's been very effective. Up here you can see this is where we actually post our morning meeting for our fabrication. And if you turn around here, you'll actually see the area. Right now we're working, and so we're in production, but this is where this will be right full of people, and you can get a sense of how that works. Here with me, this is Xiaodong. He is our fabrication manager, and he is a superb lean enthusiast, and he's going to show us a couple improvements. So let's go this way, and we'll see what we can find here. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is that we manufacture all of because we're working in steel all the time, we actually make all of our own trolleys and we paint them blue, and that's really important to us. And our workers take such pride in it. If you look around, everything they like to paint blue, even our jigs and our shelves. And so that's a really, again, more pride in what we're doing. We've got an example of a small improvement that we've done recently, and Xiaodong's going to show it. I'm going to explain what he's saying, but he's going to show it. So go ahead and show us what he's going to do here. So basically what he's saying here is that you see in his hand, he's got these magnetic labels. And the way we used to do it is we just slap them on anyway, and we didn't really have those Kaizen corners, and so we weren't really careful with it. We just stuck it on. What we decided to do is we've got to be premium in everything. We've got to do an excellent job. If we want to build a great product, we've got to build that culture right from the start of being really, really precise. And so now, Kaizen corners, even on how we put our labels on in our fabrication area to make it perfect. Another thing that we've done is we used to store all these just in just a stack, kind of the way he's got it there. It was a real pain. And so one of the workers came up with this great improvement. They actually just used some scrap metal, they painted it up, and now we actually keep everything up visual so that whenever you need to find a label for a different trolley, it's really easy, it's visual, it's simple every time, no more struggle. So that's a really great improvement that they came up with down in the fabrication area. I'm going to next show you an improvement from our welding area, and I'll demonstrate this one. 可以, 可以, 可以. This is a really interesting one. The first one is the operator used to, when he finished welding it, he would actually mark it so that we knew exactly who was responsible for welding it. And what they would do is they would actually use this jig, and it has a little engraved number on it, so we knew, this is number 14, this is bay number 14, so this is worker number 14. And that way, if we ever came into a defect, we knew this was the guy that was at fault. Problem is, that's not really the best way to manage it because we might be too far down the line to discover that. And so what we do now is we actually write on the frames number 14. And that shows us that, okay, this operator did it. But once it gets to grinding, you actually don't see that 14 anymore. That'll all get cleaned off. And what that means is that once you get to grinding, that operator needs to take ownership of it completely. There's no defect passed forward. Instead of the old way where, if we find a defect way down the line, we can come back and find this guy. Not anymore. Now, when it gets there, they take ownership of it, they check it over, they make sure this is perfect, don't pass any defects forward. There's a second improvement. What's the second one here? Okay, yes. So if you look at these two trolleys side by side, you can see one of them has the yellow, one of them doesn't. Actually, the reason we do this is because we don't want workers to accidentally burn themselves on hot pieces that come right off the welding station. And so what happens is you turn it around. If you see the yellow facing out, that means these have just been welded and they're really, really hot. If you see on this one here, you can see it doesn't have it, so that they're not going to be hot. And in fact, if you look back here along the production line, you can quickly see this is hot, don't touch it. Whereas this one here, you can see that hasn't been welded yet, that's okay. And that's just a little simple safety technique, visual management to make sure we don't get hurt. Perfect, nice job. Okay, I'm right in the middle of fabrication right now, and I'm going to introduce you to Jerry. He's in charge of all of our engineering, and he's going to show you a process we've worked really hard on to try to perfect for our operators, and he can give you better details than I can.
Hi guys, my name is Jerry. I'm going to demonstrate the lag bending process. Before, we used to have 3 different stations for this process. Now, we have this improved system to remove the over-processing and motion and transportation. Here we go. We're going to deburr the both ends. Then put into the lag bender. This one, we used to have this process on another station. Now we have here, so we remove the transportation and the motion waste. Also, meanwhile, we remove the inventory waste as well. And finally, we have this karakuri system to improve the process. Thanks.
Okay, I'm up at the second floor again, and I'm going to share something that's really exciting for us. This is our lean cave. Now, it's not quite as elaborate as what the folks at Tubeloy and Alex have come up with, but this has really been a great tool for us. And I'm actually going to have our IE engineer, Mongong, he's going to explain the process to you, because he set all this up.
Hello， 大家好，这是我介绍一下为我们公司为什么要建立这个精益仓。它的主要目的呢，主要作用呢，就是首先第一个就是我们开展这个精益活动，经常要用到一些辅助材料，如果我们需要的时候没有，然后再去购买的话，就会很浪费很多的时间。现在我们在精益仓备有它的话，随时使用需要用，马上就可以领用。还有我们工作过程中需要用到一些小工具，也是烦到他们的时候，也是根据实际需要拿来就可以用，就可以减少很多等待的时间。另外的话，我介绍一下像这个标线仪 就可以确保我们画线是一条直线上。还有这个小推车，我们以前这个精益仓领用的话，之前是每个员工都需要去登记的，现在的话采用这个二维码的方式，直接用手机直接一扫描，然后员工就可以根据自己的需要在上面去选用他们需要的东西，同时也方便我们统计他们哪一种用的更多一点。好，谢谢。
Hey folks, I'm up in the mat sewing area now, and before I show you production, I actually wanted to focus on the materials behind us. And there's actually a really good reason for this. First of all, you'll see the gentleman over here in the yellow shirt. Yellow shirt means water spider. And we didn't have water spiders when we first started our lean journey. In fact, we started calculating and we realized that we actually had so much raw material spread all over our factory that we had 30 people, if you can imagine, 30 people. They were busy full-time just transporting stock around. And so one of the things we did right away is we wanted to introduce the role of water spiders. We have 7 in our factory right now. And we also wanted to move stock right next to the Gemba. And so you can see we keep our raw materials right beside our operators. That means that even though we do use water spiders, we can get everything we need immediately. And the difference is huge. So we went from 30 people before, now we're down to 7. And that's just because we positioned our materials in a much smarter way. The other thing we have to do is it means that we have to keep a higher quality of just even the way we store our materials, the way it comes in, it's all going to be clean, ready to go, because we don't want any contamination with our product here on the floor. Hey folks, I'm up in the mat sewing area now, and I've got Noreme with me. She is our sewing manager over the entire factory. And she has had more success than anyone else in our company at extracting ideas and really tapping into the God-given genius and talent in each one of our workers. And consistently, month after month, her department has more ideas that just make small but actually significant improvements over our production. And so I thought I'd let her share just a little bit about our process over here.
我带大家来看一下侦测近期做出来的改善。首先呢，是过去线上的这个 WIP 是没有固定的数量，有时候会堆放很多。那么现在我们改善之后呢，我们针对线上的 WIP 每道工序都固定了一个数量，并且呢，用黄色的胶带做了一个定位的标示，要求所有的 WIP 不能超过这个框线，并且不能超过这个数量。一旦超过了，我们是要求立即停止生产，寻找到原因之后才可以进行生产，真正体现了拉动式生产。那么这所有的工位上面，我们也做了精益改善，所有的这些物料架和这些框架做了定位标示，每个都贴了定位标示，包括他们所使用到的所有的用工具，我们全部都用泡棉把它摆放好，真正体现了万物各得其所，并且要求呢，这所有的东西摆放的时候呢，成为一条直线。在这个工位这里呢，也做了一个很好的精益改善。改善前呢，我们要完成一道工序，同时需要2个人才能够完成。那么第一个，它是指车缝这一条织带，到了这道工序的时候呢，它是需要来车缝这个布条上去。那原来2个人完成的工序，改善之后呢，我们变成了1个人。那有这1位同事就可以同时把它完成。他将这个布条放在了下面，车缝的时候呢，一边车织带一边车布条，可以同步完成，提高了生产效率，并且降低了劳动强度。在这里我也跟大家分享一下，我们的所有的同事都非常喜欢这个精益改善。那我们是如何激励员工的呢？第一，我们的员工呢会在早会上观看我们播报的一个外部视频，供他们学习。第二，我们会针对他们在工作中烦恼的地方，也就是找出烦你的位置来进行寻找解决方案。第三步，我们会针对他们找出来的解决方案，会在早会上进行去奖励，给予他礼品或者现金的奖励，并且让当事人分享他的一个精益改善的感受和他的一个理念。那还有一个就是我们所有的这些物品，举例子讲说，我们的机针，我们是有一个非常详细的定位的一个具体地址，这里比如说是D2、02、01、05，那么我们就会知道在那边的1号的货架第2层第5格来寻找到这个机针。 那么就不会出现等待的现象。当没有物料的时候，每个人都能很精准的找到所需要的物品存放的位置。谢谢。
There's 3 quick things I want to highlight just at the end of our mat sewing area that I think are kind of worth noting. First one is you can see these jigs here. We do 100% inspection of every mat, just like the nets that we showed before. We do the exact same with the mats. Same reason, we want to make sure that our quality is absolutely perfect so that whatever our customer gets is the best. Second thing I wanted to focus on here is our standard work, and I have a lot of people to thank for this. Work from the Shingo model that we've been using, and also Tom from Gemba Docs. He's given us a lot of inspiration. We do things a little bit differently, but it follows a very similar process. You can see up here, there's a QR code. If you scan that, that gives you the complete work instruction for the process. Each process here is one page. You can see you can flip it up. There's a different model trampoline and different models all the way through. The other thing you'll notice up here is that we have our tack time and our cycle time. Cycle time being less than tack time so that we can achieve everything. We also link all of this to our skills matrix so that everybody is working at the proper pace. One other thing that you'll notice down at the end here is that we include our standard work in progress, and we already shared that with you before. And I want to just share one little, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's also a victory that we've had. When we first started Lean and we started looking at all the work in progress that we had on the floor, we added it up and we would have had an entire container worth of stock sitting right here. And then on top of that, before we got into the final packaging, we would have another container of stock. So we had 2 full containers of product sitting right here on the Gemba. And what standard work in progress has done is we've reduced that down. Now there's only about 30 trampolines from the end to here. And so that is a massive savings. Imagine the cash flow that was tied up in 2 full containers. We've been able to take that right off the floor. Gives us a lot more space to operate. And also, if there's ever a defect, if there's ever a problem, we can catch it right away before that really transpires into a major problem. So those are a couple of changes that we've made here. Next up, we're going to head over to CQC. That's our name for FQC. And we'll have our last session there. Okay. Hey folks, I'm up at CQC, and this is another name that we give to FQC, and it's where we do a final check of our product. Now, we don't check every single one, probably just 4 or 5 each day after it comes down the line and it's been fully packaged. And of course, we've already checked it at other stations, so we're not really looking for defects, we're looking for ways that we can improve. And I've got Jennifer with me today, and she's going to demonstrate a way that we do a lean video. And this is something that we've worked really hard on developing. You know, each day we produce 4 to 5 of these, so over the course of a year, we're talking about 5 to 6, maybe 700 of these each year. And so we've worked really hard at standardizing the process and getting down to 20 to 30 seconds each time and really precise in how we do it. And she's going to show us how to actually conduct a live video right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer. This is the old way of we doing the test at CQC area. And we have our measure tape, of course. And today we're going to use this spot C11 as the first location that we're going to test today. So let's do it. We're going to measure the length from here to here, and it's actually 200. And then so the people has to write it down, 200 right here, and then later we have to enter the numbers into our computer system. So by doing this, it actually creates more error opportunities by writing wrong numbers or entering wrong numbers into the computer system, and that really bugs us. So we came up with a really clever, smart, lean improvement that solves our problem. And that's our fabulous, amazing jigs that we made right here. These are all the models. But today we're setting up 113, so we're going to use this jig. So this lean improvement actually we apply visual management. As you can see, there are different colors on our measure tape. We're using the same chart we're using the updated charts. As you can see, we have colors on it. Let's take C11 again, and the color is yellow. So as long as we're within the yellow range, then we're good. So we just need to mark check. We don't have to write numbers anymore. Let's take another example right here. C110, and that's red. As long as the distance is within the red range, then that means it passes. So it really removes a lot of complexity because we don't have to read the numbers and write the numbers and enter into the computer system anymore. And then also creates that pokey-yoki system. So we don't have to afraid that wrong numbers and errors happening during the process. And then most importantly, that really saves us a lot of time. By setting up one trampoline and within this lean improvement, we can actually save 3 to 5 minutes per trampoline, and we're setting at least 5 trampolines a day, and that means we're saving 15 minutes a day. That's fabulous, and I love this improvement. What about you? Thank you.
And that concludes our lean tour for today. If you have any questions at all or would like to learn more about our processes, please reach out anytime. If you're ever in the area, if you're in southern China, you are most welcome anytime to come for a tour. We'd love to have you here and show you a lot more of what's going on. And if you've seen anything that we can improve, goodness, there's lots, I'm sure there's lots in the background that you can see that could be improved. We'd love your feedback so we can keep getting better and better. Thank you so much from southern China, and all the best. Take care.